welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, October 27th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of the news stories from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. For the first time in more than 2 years, Dominique Martinez, too, has been able to sleep through the night. Dominique, who suffers from cerebral palsy, had been struggling to breathe at night because of the mold in her family's home after a hailstorm earlier this month damaged the family's 1916 adobe home at the Kiwa Pueblo. Dominique was displaced along with 4 other family members, including her sickly grandmother, Andrea Calabraza. For the past week, they have been staying at the Love Your Heart Program Administration Building, where offices are filled with cots, blankets, and a few personal items for several displaced Pueblo families. Meanwhile, the outside of Calabraza's adobe house, a handful of dried corn stems barely stand. The lonely house with a white painted walls now smeared with mud is permeated with a strong moldy stench. Other rainstorms have slowly crippled the home, but the October 2nd hailstorm made it uninhabitable. Officials still need to conduct an official assessment of the losses, but a preliminary estimate of the damages indicate the Pueblo may need up to $2 million for reconstruction's work in their community. The Walk Them Home and Returning to the Earth ceremonies will take place November 4th and 5th, with a walk on November 4th starting at 9 a.m. at the Central Michigan University's campus to the Saginaw Chippewa Tribes' Nebokan Ancestral Cemetery. Opening remarks will be given by CMU and tribal leaders, including Dennis Banks of AIM, who will offer words of faith and encouragement. Banks will also feature the organization will also feature guest speaker Banks at a Central Michigan University roundtable on November 3rd regarding repatriation. On Friday, November 5th at noon, the public is welcome to witness the Returning to the Earth ceremony for the ancestors and their funeral property at the Nebokan Ancestral Cemetery. The ZB Wing Center will host a spirit feast beginning at 6 p.m. that evening. And for more information, you can go to sagchip.org, and we'll put that up so you can see that. Officials with the U.S. Census Bureau and South Dakota tribes say new tactics to encourage American Indians to fill out the 2010 census forms appear to be paying off. Data recently released show the Yankton Sioux Reservation had a 55% of household mail back to their forms, and the Flandreau Santry Sioux Reservation had a 53% return rate. That's lower than the overall state participation rate of 76%, but officials tell the Argus Leader that they're still pleased with those numbers. Census officials in the past have experienced rural mail delivery problems and tribal distrust of the federal government. This year, tribal presidents did radio ads encouraging members to fill out their census form, and many census workers were tribal members. South Dakota Democrats have sent a letter to Attorney General Marty Jackley asking that an investigation into early vote rallies also look into Republican events. Jackley's office is probing whether 3 rallies held by Democrats on American Indian reservations broke the law by offering people food in exchange for votes or to induce voting. State Republicans asked for the investigation. Democrats say that they did not violate the law. Last Tuesday, party executive director Eric McCarrick called on Jackley to also investigate campaign activities in parties of the Republican Party. He just didn't know how valuable that chunk of commodity cheese was here until election time comes around, I guess. So, Oklahoma voters will decide several ballot issues next week that critics say panders to extreme conservatives and would move the state further to the right. 3 of 11 state questions on the November 2nd ballot would make English the state's official language, prohibit Oklahoma courts from considering international or Islamic law when deciding cases, and allows residents to opt out of the new federal health care reform law. The questions are the product of a Republican-controlled legislature which circumvented Oklahoma Governor Brad Henry, a Democrat, to take them to the ballot. Critics say Republicans are trying to beef up voter turnout among certain conservative groups by appealing to biases against immigrants, Islam, and the reach of Washington. Republicans deny there is a conspiracy, saying that some of the measures are designed to protect citizens from the reach of the federal government. State Question 755 or 51 makes English the state's official language, mandating that all official state business be conducted in English, with exception for Native American languages. More than 120 Native Americans of all ages braved the cold weather to spend the morning exploring beautiful canyons at the Morongo Indian Reservation in California during the 5th annual Canyon Walk to promote healthy lifestyles. Timed to coincide with National Native American Health and Fitness Day, the Canyon Walk this October 22nd was part of the Just Move It program sponsored by Indian Health Services, the National Congress of American Indians, and the National Indian Health Board. The program helps combat diabetes and obesity by educating Native Americans about the benefits of healthy habits and regular physical activity. From toddlers to grandmothers, participants traveled from across the Inland Empire to hike up to 2 miles through the canyons and then return to Petero Park. The event was coordinated by the nonprofit Riverside San Bernardino County Indian Health, Inc. diabetes program in conjunction with the Morongo Band of Mission Indians. The Grand Canyon Association and Grand Canyon National Park are set to dedicate a new rim-based amphitheater and landmark feature at Mather Point on the South Rim. The Arizona Daily Sun reports the new amphitheater allows park visitors to view the canyon's famous vistas while seated on native limestone. The amphitheater's setting seats approximately 50 to 80 people and provides space for ranger talks or viewing the canyon's sunsets and sunrises. The landmark feature honoring Native American tribes affiliated with Grand Canyon National Park features a plaza with a meeting area for visitors walking to and from Mather Point. Stone slabs in the construction include etchings inspired by stories with input that was gathered from those local tribes. And remember that the elections are coming up next week on November 2nd, and a lot of polling places around the country are open for early voting. The native vote counts and may very well be the winning balance of power in several states and national elections. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to say, Wawanin for stopping in. Stop by again soon.